Hello everybody and welcome to Play Great Games. Today I'm going to be tackling a big question. Which game is better, Overwatch or Paladins? I've played a lot of both games, so I assure you this will be fair and from my experiences. No sponsors, no special deals if I take one side, no personal favorite. It's going to be 100% genuine, and without further ado, let's jump in. When I first played Overwatch, I was blown away right off the bat by the maps. A big problem I have with maps in online games is that they don't look like they would actually exist. Take the map Frog Isle from Paladins. It's a beautiful map, especially when you have the shaders and graphics at Ultra, but it just doesn't feel like anyone in real life would ever make a place like this. In Paladins, the maps are made to be played in, to have champions running around shooting or slashing at each other. They're not made to be real or to have a civilization live or function in them. They work very well at being PvP maps, but they just don't have the same feeling that Overwatch does. In Overwatch, the maps are made to be real, like they could have people walking around and living in them. Then, they add some features to make it a better map for online play, but only after they make the maps look and feel real. I also wanted to point out, Overwatch is the only game that I've played that has a sun. It's a silly point, but all the other games will have everything reflecting off light, like there is a sun, but when you look up, there's nothing. It's a small thing to put in the game, but it makes the game that much better. It makes it feel like it's that much closer to being real. I also like in how Overwatch, they play music that has something to do with the culture of the map. If it's in Spain, it'll be playing Spanish music and etc. Once again, it's a small detail, but it really helps. When it comes to maps, Overwatch wins. Overwatch has more colorful and more real maps than Paladins. When it comes to making characters, Paladins wins by far. Now I know that there are some characters that look alike, and have abilities that are kind of alike. But I'll give them this. Ever since Corvus, a couple months ago, they've been going their own way with the characters. Overwatch has about 30 heroes, which are all unique, cool, and have different playstyles, while Paladins has about 50 different unique champions that all have different playstyles. Overwatch has only 3 classes, or whatever you call them: tank, damage, and support, while Paladins has 4: frontline, damage, support, and flank. Each class in both games has different stats. Some will have more health but lower damage than others, and etc. So if you've played Overwatch your whole life and just haven't found the character that suits you in your playstyle, Paladins will most likely have a place for you, because some characters in Paladins might have what you're missing in Overwatch, and the same can be said and vice versa. One big thing that hit me hard in Overwatch is, in Paladins, when you get a skin, it'll be worth your time grinding. It'll have a new voice actor, new voice lines, new weapons, new colors, VFX, sound effects.
They keep shooting me! Come into my circle! Stop poking me! Insane in the brain! Wait! I can't lose!
In Overwatch, you'll grind for a skin, and it'll be just the same character, same weapon, same voice, same everything, other than colors on the actual skin.
Peace be upon
That's it.
you.
Hello.
My thanks. Fall back. Peace be upon you.
Hello.
I expected more from the game that costed $20. Paladins comes out with a new character every couple of months, while Overwatch can take a lot longer. And Paladins isn't pumping out bad or easy to make characters or anything. They're making quality characters that are all unique. Like I said before, they've been making their own characters ever since Corvus.
I am Yagharov.
And I've got to give Paladins this. I've gotten excited for every champion I've seen be released. I have yet to be excited for an Overwatch character. Yet to see one released. And one more thing that made Paladins very special was Paladins has you go through 2 steps and an optional step before you get to play the game. You first choose your talent. When you're taken to a match and after you've chosen your character, you first choose your talent, which are unlocked by leveling up the characters. A talent is a little power-up that can buff or nerf some abilities. For instance, if Sin has the talent Guillotine, Spite, your ultimate, deals 25% of its target's maximum health with each hit, and it increases your ultimate charge rate by 15%. You get 3 of these talents, each one is different. Then the second step is your loadout deck. These are a deck of cards that boost some abilities. And the cool thing is you can build your own deck. And then, the optional step is items. These are once again little boosts that you can buy throughout the game. For instance, Chronos is an item you can buy that reduces the cooldown time of all your abilities by 10%. You can upgrade this 3 times to get a maximum of 30% cooldown reduction. And there are a lot more of these items that boost different things. And when the match is over, you'll lose the items. By doing this, you can take a character you like and change them into someone you are amazing at, with loadout decks that suit your playstyle. Now, on to the gameplay. Overwatch is a lot more fast-paced. Paladins is too, but most of the time you play in Overwatch will involve fast thinking and flicks. Paladins is a lot more forgiving if you peek the wrong corner. In Overwatch, if you peek the wrong corner, you're dead. You'll get one tap just like that in Overwatch, while in Paladins, there's only one character that if you use a certain ability, you get a headshot on another certain character that might be a one tap. Might. So Paladins is a lot more forgiving. I also want to bring up the graphics. When I have the lowest possible graphics in Overwatch, it's still very impressive. The highest graphics in Paladins look like the medium graphics in Overwatch, and the lowest graphics in Paladins is just horrible. I know they're low, but it looks like a massive slug slithered across everything. Another big difference in Paladins is if you miss your ult, or maybe you don't use all of it, or it gets cancelled, or something like that, you'll get some back. In Overwatch, if you use your ultimate, its progress will go back down to 0. Even if you didn't use all of it, or maybe it was cancelled by an enemy or a certain movement. But in Paladins, if your ultimate is cancelled or stopped before you've used all of it, you won't go back all the way down to 0. You'll get some percent back, depending on when it was cancelled or stopped. It's a small feature, but I thought I should bring it up. Now, moving on to team comp. In Overwatch, each map consists of 12 players, 6 on each team. Now this works even better for Overwatch, which, as I've said, is a quicker and less forgiving game, because there are only 3 classes. That means each team can have 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 2 damage. While in Paladins, there are only 10 players in each game. Each team consists of 5. It's not that bad, right? You also have to remember that there are 4 classes. So in Paladins, you can only have 1 of every class, then 1 player gets whatever the team needs an extra of. So in the end, you'll have 1 tank, 1 healer, 1 damage, 1 flank, whatever the other guy picked. This can be really bad, especially because in Paladins, when you pick your champion, that's the character you play as for the rest of the match. There's no switching. Now, factor in the fact that you don't know the enemy team until everybody, including the enemies, has picked a character. Here's an example. In Paladins, let's say the enemy team has 1 tank, 1 heal, 1 flank, and 2 damage. Your team is going to be facing a lot of damage, so you're probably going to need 2 healers. But oh no, you only realize the enemy team has 2 damage after everybody picked their character, and the extra character the other player picked on your team was a tank. You're now going to have 2 tanks and 1 healer, facing off against 2 enemy damage. Good luck. So, Paladins could fix this by taking out the flank class, which is a big move because there are a lot of important and cool characters in that class, and it's also my favorite. Or they could make it so each team has 8 players instead of 5. This would make problems in finding matches, as now the game has to look for 6 more players than it had to before. Or they could make it so that you could switch characters at any time you like. Imagine that same scenario, but one of the tanks on your team switched to an extra healer, and that way they were able to keep the tank and the other people on your team alive, facing the 2 damage on the enemy team. I like that Paladins added an extra class, but it just doesn't work as well as it could with the current amount of players and the fact that you can't switch characters. In Overwatch, certain heroes have just straight health. That's the white down there at the bottom. And there are other kinds of health. There's armor and shield too. I'm not sure which shade of blue they are, but that right there is another thing I'd like to bring up. In Overwatch, there's so much to learn. This keeps the game fresh and new and exciting. For me at least. It's one of the things that keeps me coming back. In this last section, I'll be giving you my general thoughts. For a game that costs $20, it was worth the money in so many ways, but it also fails in simple ways. Simple ways that were not failed by the free game. And the free game was worth your time in so many ways, but also failed in simple ways. In Overwatch, skins are just a waste of time. They're barely any different from the default. I wanted to get this skin for Wrecking Ball ever since I saw it, but now I've just skipped it for one of the cheap skins. But it was also worth the time and money for the maps, for the game modes, and the crazy plays that you can watch later. While Paladins has a leg up compared to a $20 game, it also failed in some ways. There's no sun. I know it's small, but it makes a difference. The maps are good, but they don't feel real. They don't look like anyone in the game could actually live there, or even want to live there. But it's rewarding, because every match you play, whether you win or whether you lose, you'll be rewarded with the currency that the game revolves around. With that currency, you can buy some of the characters, because in Paladins you don't start out with all the characters. And you can also buy skins. Have different voice actors, voice lines, sound effects, visual effects, and so much more. Both games are great and very fun, but where one game fails, the other takes up. Paladins might be a ripoff of Overwatch, but it's still an amazing game. They looked at what Overwatch did best, and they did that. They also looked at what Overwatch failed at, and they did that better. Both games and companies can look at each other and change things for the better. So, which game is better? Personally, I look at it as kind of a yin and yang situation. So, you tell me, from what I've pointed out in this video, which game is better? Is Overwatch just a better game? Is Paladins a ripoff or a newer game in the same genre? Which game would you play of the two? And did you enjoy this video? If you did, I want you to take your favorite character's weapon from Overwatch and Paladins, and I want you to destroy that subscribe button. Alright guys, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.